In Aquanaria, it's good to be back here this beautiful Monday morning. And hi, Esh.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be back.
The break. Yeah. You're looking
I took your advice. You know, you say rest is important to the body, and health is wealth. And I'm grateful to be back here.
And I know you are loaded. You're back loaded.
Loaded,
exactly.
As always. Well, let's go into what we have for you today. Good morning and welcome to FCT Brief, the program that takes you beyond the headlines to the political undercurrent shaping Nigeria's democracy. Today, we turn our focus to the People's Democratic Party, where internal tensions have taken a fresh and consequential turn. A few days ago, a court ruling overturned the party's convention held in Ibadan, throwing its leadership structure and internal processes into renewed uncertainty. The decision has not only reopened old factional divides, but has also raised critical questions about legality, party cohesion, and the PDP's ability to present a united front at a time when opposition politics is under intense public scrutiny.
As the Turaki faction signals its intention to head to the Court of Appeal, the stakes are clearly rising. What does this legal battle mean for the party's stability, its reform efforts, and its relevance in Nigeria's evolving political landscape? And to provide insight and perspective, we are joined this morning by Dr. Mike Omeri, former Director General of the National Orientation Agency, as we examine the implications of this ruling and what lies ahead for the PDP. Now, Mr. Omeri, nice to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joining you on a Monday morning like this is a fantastic thing.
And you have the hard nuts to crack, the PDP. Yeah, let's go this way. Just the High Court ruling threw away your faction. Let me use the word your faction of the PDP, the Turaki-led faction, that it was not properly elected. Now, you say you're going to the Court of Appeal, and this case will definitely drag to the Supreme Court. What is your party doing if you want to contest the 2027 election that staying in courts may not be the best option for those who want to fly the party's tickets in 2027?
Thank you. First, the PDP does not have a faction. We have a group of people. A faction ought to have been declared by a court. No court anywhere in Nigeria has declared that the PDP is in two factions. We have a group of friends who are challenging the legality of actions taken by the PDP. But the media has created that illusion of factions and all of that. So, but it's okay. That is has become the general thing, and that's just for clarity. Well, as for the party and what it will do to, to whether to field candidates in the next elections or not, two things are certain. First, the instant matter and why the PDP went to court or went ahead in the first place to conduct its own its convention in Ibadan was because a court that claimed it had jurisdiction, in fact, issued a valid order. And that order is valid, and that was why the PDP went ahead to conduct its convention. That is the State High Court. Now, the Federal High Court, just like the one that just passed a judgment in Ibadan, knew ab initio that it had no jurisdiction over the matter in issue, but it went ahead to pass a judgment that we should not hold the convention. Even this one in Ibadan of 2 days ago said it had no jurisdiction, but it went ahead to give things that were not asked of it. It threw itself into the arena, became a participant, and decided for the people. And I think that is preposterous and is not too good for our judicial system. So the PDP still has appealed, hoping that the appeal will sustain. And this is quite funny because the Supreme Court has ruled about internal affairs of political parties. But we had to go through the process. And the process, we hope, will sustain the decision of the Court of Appeal. Once that is done, we field candidates.
Now, with the PDP still locked in this legal tussle, do you think that it is a salvageable opposition, or do you think that it has reached a point where a merger becomes the only rational strategy rather?
Unfortunately, the political space has allowed the judiciary to play an important factor or become an important arbiter in deciding internal party matters. And so we are waiting for the judiciary to decide whether the PDP can continue as a major opposition party or not.
So the judiciary now decides what happens internally in your party. If the judiciary takes long, we just have 2027 around the corner.
Yeah.
Is your party ready to go into that election?
Well, for us, if the judiciary would do the right thing, we still believe that there is time to adjudicate on this matter.
So the courts control your party?
Well, they control every other person who wishes to take advantage of the subjectivity of a portion of the court, some people in the court.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Is this fight, whether the group or faction, the one loyal to Minister Wike and the other one, your own group, is it about party constitution or about politicians fighting to control structure because they want to control who emerges in 2027? Because if you consider that 2027 election is just around the corner, a lot of your members are leaving, whatever faction you belong to. Is it about the party or about just control of structure?
We are insisting that the party constitution and its processes be upheld. An individual shouldn't come and create rules for the party. The party has members who willingly join. Nobody was coerced to join. So if you allow what individuals if you allow individuals to continuously interfere and bring on rules as the journey proceeds, then it means you will end up with chaos and confusion, which is a semblance of what we are having today. So the PDP is asking, return to our party constitution. Let us do the right thing. Let's stick there.
So you have to do that through the courts and not through compromise.
We don't have to do that through the courts, but we were taken to court in the first instance by the group of friends we talked about.
With the judgment of the Ibadan court right now in the convention, does it seem to point to the fact that courts can no longer solve internal problems of political parties?
It's parties that should solve their internal problems of leadership.
But you just mentioned now that you are leaving it to the courts to decide.
Yes, because somebody has taken us to court. So, and we had appealed that matter. There were issues all over the place. Now, for instance, when it involves third party, especially government agencies like the police, sealing the party secretariat, the PDP went and said, and INEC, not recognizing the Turaki group. The PDP went to court and sought for an order, a command, to the police, open the office for these people. INEC used the officials provided by the Ibadan Convention. They didn't do it. So that is, allowed. You can do that. But when it comes to the internal affairs of deciding who leads what office within the party, it is internal affairs. And there are rules guiding the processes. And those rules have been followed by the PDP. And that is why these officials emerged at Ibadan.
Okay, you who are politicians, PDP has ruled Nigeria before, you know the implication of not having candidates, especially if you are a politician, you want to contest, you know the implication of not being on the ballot in 2027. The question is, at what point will either group decide to pull out of court and reach a compromise? Or are you considering a coalition, like my colleague asked earlier, because it seems as if we are getting deeper into darkness?
Well, I understand what you are saying, and I had the first time. Now, I'm not a soothsayer, but I can envisage that all of these, once elections are over, the courts will delay and rule that it's still internal affairs of the party. At a point, you are not able to field a candidate, and it's not as if you didn't pursue your right. But when we get to that point, we will know how to cross the bridge as a party. But we are not giving up. We are not letting uncertainty determine our fate and future. We want to act in accordance with the dictates of our constitution and the conviction that Nigeria deserves the correcting, and that somewhere, somehow, there is one person, it could be just one person, who will do the right thing in the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians and our democracy.
For months, the crisis was conveniently pinned on the FCT minister, Yeson Wike. But isn't this implosion largely self-inflicted, driven by ego, factional bargaining, and a habitual disregard for internal rules?
Well, politics and politicians, especially those at the helm of affairs, are actually motivated by ego. It's about, I can do this, I have done that, which is not the right way to go, actually. I see the interference, the continuous influence of individuals in the structure and management of political parties as the bane. And that is why we are having this challenge, because right from the beginning, Minister Wike was able to have an overbearing interest or influence on the management of the party. Now, the party later realized that, look, you cannot continue to toy with the lives of millions or the interests of millions of Nigerians who are members of the PDP, through the antics and behavior or influence of one person. People have a reason why they join a political party, and they need to be given the platform to express themselves, to excel. So that reversal of commitment to an individual may have led to what we are seeing today, now that we want to stick and follow the rules of the party. Don't forget, we are the last ESCO executive of the party, National Working Committee, to still be, to have remained without the Ibadan Convention. Their tenure would have expired. They are supposed to have gone by December. So what are we talking about? Why are we still fighting when we have, what is the locus?
Exactly the question. So at what point will the Turaki-led group decide, okay, let's pull out of the appeal court, for instance, and let's reach a compromise? Is that not a possibility for the sake of your party?
Well, the people have gone to court, so you are appealing what those other people have gone to court. Let the courts decide and say, well, okay, it's still your internal affairs of the party. Then you can now go. Also. Then, well, that is the court, the whole entire court process. The Supreme Court had passed a judgment on similar instances. So we don't expect the Supreme Court to say something else, which will overrule itself and give a different judgment. Well, when we get there, we'll see it. But once that happens, then we sit down and say, okay, we have exhausted the law. At least, even if to help the law and academics and the theory of it, people will learn from it so that tomorrow it does not happen again. It does not repeat itself. Then we can sit down and take a decision. After all, wars end up with dialogue. Not everyone will have to sit down and decide peace.
All right. Let's take a quick breather. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And there's a lot of fireworks here in the studio where we'll continue our conversation on the PDP leadership crisis. I wonder how the PDP intends to convince, voters that it is a viable opposition in this coming election. Because if you're so locked in these internal battles, how do you want to convince voters to?
Fortunately, majority of the members of PDP are resilient and they are being carried along. So they know at every point where the party is. And they trust the explanations they get, and the party has not withered in its responsibility to the majority of its members by explaining to them the real situation at any given point in time.
Yeah, but majority of your members are resilient, but majority of Nigerians that don't belong to any political party are still confused, because the winning an election is not just dependent on your member, it depends on a lot of Nigerians that don't belong to political party. Now, history is unforgiving. When you eventually win this, or the party collapses, on which side of history would you want to be? Is he as a stabilizer or as one who watched while the party was being balkanized?
No, I would want to be on the side of those who have worked hard, believing that the country can do the right thing, and that your efforts will not just be in vain. You have provided a platform, a foundation for, others to build on. by fighting on what is right, on the side of what is right, so that even if you don't achieve it, you don't give up. You keep fighting. Freedom may not come to you every day instant, but resilience, hard work, and conviction to doing the right things in the long run can if not you, others can build on it and achieve results. And that is what we are doing. We are convinced about what we are doing.
Well, Governor Seyi Makinde's visit to the villa with President Bola Tinubu.
Seyi Makinde, I have not heard from him. I have not spoken. Seyi Makinde, I have not heard from him. I have not spoken to him. I have everything to him. Everything is within the realm of speculation. So I don't within the realm of speculation. So I don't know if all I heard, and I don't know if all I heard, and I still read about what he said, that he has no godfather.
Who truly wrecked the people?
As far as I'm concerned, I belong.
Wrecked the people.
As far as I'm concerned, I belong to neither of these groups. I entered PDP in 1998. There was no godfather. I was persuaded by the colors, the beauty and intelligence and the patriotic disposition of members of the party then, because I saw many of them in practice, in the Second Republic and the Third. So we joined. And so I'm committed to those things that made me join the party in the first place and even become sympathetic to politics. Now, whether Wike or Makinde or whoever, I'm not a disciple of theirs. They can be doing what they're doing. All I want to do and how I have operated is how to rescue the party so that we can continue in the pursuit of the ideals that the founding fathers of the party believed in and are ready to deploy for the common good.
Okay, let's look at the Electoral Act. There's been so much worry. Election just around the corner. There's a minimum number of days that INEC must give notice before an election, and the guiding principle, the guiding law has not been passed by the National Assembly. Are you worried? And what are you suspecting that is playing out?
Well, we should be worried. All Nigerians should be worried, unless if they are not ready to participate in voting, because the Electoral Act is meant to guide the conduct of the electoral processes. And the amendment arose from the fact that the previous processes, there were some lapses or gaps noticed from the previous processes that needed to be corrected. So if they don't correct them, it means we are going to conduct election in flaws, just like the previous one was done. So we are worried, and even Nigerians should be worried that they should quickly do it so that Nigerians will have access. For instance, now, in the several elections in the past, we will be told on the election day, after spending billions of Nigeria's money, that to acquire technology, they will tell us on the election day that a glitch occurred here and there. And this has been the pattern for the last 2 or 3 elections. After all these elections, what have we done to ensure that the technology we deploy in the next election does not encounter such glitches? Look, I am an alumni of the University of Maiduguri. We just conducted an alumni election with a system, a process, technology developed by the university. We didn't have to travel to any polling. We voted from the comfort of our homes. We were monitoring the outcome of the election. And Nigeria cannot ask University of Maiduguri or any other university in Nigeria, all these universities of technologies that we have all over the place, they cannot develop a system for us on how to vote, then something is wrong. Where is the thinking unit of INEC? Let them sit down and think on how we can perfect and avoid the glitches that accompany elections in the past. The National Assembly should ensure that the conduct of these processes are in line with the voices and views of Nigerians post-election, which they have had. That is why they are representing us in the National Assembly. But if they are not able to do that, then, we all should be afraid that we're going to just witness a repeat of what has been happening.
Well, with the PDP still locked in this reoccurring internal tussle, and with a weakened opposition as we see it now, would you say that the ruling party is taking advantage of this to be less accountable?
Who wouldn't be? Everybody would. So if the PDP is enmeshed in its internal affairs and struggling to find a foot to comment, definitely the ruling party will have a field day. After all, the opposition is meant to provide check on. It's not an offense to be in opposition in a political party. In fact, the ruling party at any point in time should be happy that an opposition is challenging and giving alternatives, helping it to do the right things. So if it is absent, it will just fly to the east.
I like what you've just said, and some other commentators will tend to blame the ruling party for the crisis in the various opposition parties. And somebody said that political parties are in place to win elections. So why did you open your door for another party to be able to manipulate you easily? So will you also subscribe to that notion that, look, stop pointing the finger at any other person. Look internally at yourself and look at how you can fix the challenges. I'm not just talking about the PDP now. I'm talking about the opposition political party, because it's not just about you. It's about Nigeria.
Well, that is why I still insist that it's the internal affairs of parties. If they mismanage their conduct and allow others in, then that is I told you, and I admitted that we had issues ab initio with the ESCO that led the National Working Committee of the PDP, and perhaps, like the proverb, once your ball is cracked, the lizard will find a way. So we had such internal disagreements among ourselves, and some people may have used that to enter. They may even have engineered the cracks. Well, that is because of their dexterity and focus on what they wanted to achieve, and they achieved it. Now, all other parties, well, I don't even think that it is the right place to say that is the ruling party that is causing this crack. I will not say it here, but I know where to say. There will be platforms to say such kind of things.
But is that an admittance or just avoidance?
Well, going by general comments from all the opposition parties, or most of the opposition parties, there is the view that some infiltration may have occurred. But there are others who are not complaining. Okay. There are many other political parties that are not complaining, perhaps because they have no crisis and nobody is talking to them. And the politician must find reason or excuse for anything anyway. So it is possible that we are just finding excuses for our own deficiency.
Would you also say that the PDP's selective enforcement of discipline also caused this deepening crisis?
Yes, because if we had punished from the beginning, we wouldn't have been saddled with the cancer that has eventually, or with the malaria that has eventually become cancerous. People were allowed, and like I told you, I admitted that people were allowed to do all manner of things, and individuals were even leading and directing the affairs of the party without minding the provisions of the Constitution at some point. So now they got so used to it and think that they can sustain it beyond a particular level. But time caught up with everyone, and so.
Okay, where are the founding fathers of the PDP, the elders, those who have benefited so well from the PDP? Most of them have been very quiet while the party, the umbrella, is leaking. And how do you expect them to come out because they have benefited so much from this party?
Most of the founding fathers of the party are dead. The Alex Ukwime, the Solomon La, Gambo Sawaba, and they started this thing in a small group of 9, metamorphosed to 18, 36, and 34, like that. Now, very few are alive, and some of them are also caught in this mess. Sule Lamido, that we respect so much, is one of those. Yoche Ayu is one of them. I think they are the only 2 or 3 that are alive today.
Jerry Ghana.
Jerry Ghana, yes, and we have heard their voices in this matter.
Your former President Jonathan.
Well, he was not a founding father.
Yeah,
neither was Obasanjo, but elders, the current party leadership has been embarking on visits to them to explain the situation in the party, and they have been making comments. They have visited Obasanjo, they have visited President Goodluck Jonathan, Namadi Sambo, and all of that, who all express their solidarity with the party and understand the travails and pray and wish that it's all over. Jonathan was quoted to have said that the PDP is still alive. So it doesn't matter how long it takes that we'll have problems. We will survive it and revive PDP.
Well, looking ahead, and I'm talking about 2027, given the uncertainty over your leadership tussle, how confident is the PDP that it can produce a credible, widely accepted candidates across Nigeria in the coming election?
For the presidency, you mean?
Yes.
Well, the party has processes of selecting candidates. Just like its convention, we will deploy the mechanism of the party to get the candidate. And once we do, it will be acceptable to everybody because everybody will be part of the process.
You're optimistic 2027, but the guys in Ekiti and Osun are not that optimistic because they may not be able to contest the election. So, sad one, is that not?
Christmas has come too early for them. Of course.
The problem they didn't create.
Yeah, unfortunately so. And at the moment, there are people in PDP who are still canvassing to be president of Nigeria. They are waiting, they are fighting, they are part of this struggle. And we hope that once they are able to, still have time. We still have 2 months at least or more to solve this problem. And we just hope that the courts, and that is why I pray that part of these amendments in the Electoral Act will insist that the judiciary should not come into internal affairs of the party, and we should do signboard and go and put in front of every court in Nigeria that this is the position of the law. And then secondly, it should also give a timeline that before this time, please, no case like this should be more than 2 months or 3 weeks or whatever.
Quite interesting, I must say, and we definitely look forward to seeing things like that, but we hope that you get your act in order and you don't have to print billboards all over the place, put your party in order. We want to say thank you so much for your time with us, Mr. Omeri, on the
Always
show.
A delight.
Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's why we'll leave our conversation this morning. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right, thank you so much, TJ Su and Ashamamo, and it's good to have you back, TJ Su. All right, thank you, Abuja.